Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, recently asserted that illegal immigrants had not gotten one dime from U.S. taxpayers for Medicaid. That is false.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage.
Now, notice what Jeffries does here. It's very, very deliberate. He says that no illegal immigrants have gotten comprehensive Medicaid coverage funded by the U.S. taxpayer. Now, this is a tool that some like to hide behind, okay? And they assert that, that federal taxpayers are not paying for these folks. But taxpayers in California and New York and other places are paying for illegal immigrants and their health care. The thing is, those programs are funded mostly by the feds, that is, the federal taxpayers. So money is flowing to illegal immigrants that way. But it's significantly worse than that because DOJ, as we'll see in a second, uncovered just flat out illegal immigrants getting Social Security numbers and getting Medicaid, flat out.
One. And so when we're talking about nearly 14 million people who are going to be thrown off their health insurance.
No, what he doesn't like is that there are folks that will be on Medicaid. Now, they're going to be disabled people and so on that aren't going to be able to do this. But a lot of people are sitting on Medicaid who can work, and there are going to be work provisions within Medicaid. And the Democrats don't like that. So to say that 14 million people are going to be thrown off of their health insurance is not true. Now, there will be work provisions, which most Americans agree with.
Millions of others who are going to be jammed up by this aggressive cut to SNAP, the largest cut to food assistance in American.
Again, the cuts Jeffries is talking about are modest. They're talking about raising the, right now, supposedly, you're supposed to participate in a work program or work 20 hours a week to receive benefits if you're between the ages of 18 and 49. Well, there's talk now of moving that age up to 54 and for parents with children age 7 and older. That doesn't seem unreasonable.
History, we're talking about American children. We're talking about everyday Americans. We're talking about Americans with disabilities. And when it comes to nutritional assistance, we're talking about veterans who have served this country.
Funny how Democratic leadership always seems to break out the veterans when it serves them.
Sacrificed, risked it all. And they're going to lose access to the food assistance they need to live a life.
Simply not true. Not only that, veterans are specifically excluded from these modest cuts
Of dignity and respect. Those are the facts.
Actually, Representative Jeffries, we've shown that they're not facts at all.
That's why we're fighting hard to stop this GOP tax scam that will hurt everyday Americans dead in its tracks.
Spare us, Mr. Jeffries. How about we cut the taxes that burden everyday Americans? How about that? How about letting the everyday American keep more of the money they earn? That's what we're supposed to do in this country. Anyway, as promised, let's flash back to the DOE's presentation on illegal immigration and the number of illegal immigrants that have gotten Social Security numbers, that have accessed Medicaid and other programs, and even have voted. Musk and the DOJ team uncover massive malfeasance in the Social Security system. Roughly 1/5 of all illegal immigrants over the past 4 years are on a government program, and many of them are maxed out on these government programs. Additionally, some of these people are voting.
So, Antonio, can you tell us what you, Antonio is helping out with the Social Security. So just trying to review Social Security, where you may have heard that we found 20 million dead people.
There are so many people who want to believe that this is not true.
Marked as alive in the Social Security database. This is so crazy. And then you'll notice there's a strange trend here where how many Social Security numbers were issued. Do you want to?
Yeah, so let me tell you what happened here. We started at the top of the system.
You want to talk about a lot of maybe?
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came up with a big list of stuff.
This is important to note. There are good people within government who are helping DOJ uncover this stuff, and they should be appreciated and recognized, frankly. They probably don't want to be recognized, but thank you.
They're working on, you've heard some of that already, but this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a
Wait. I thought that was a myth.
mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not...
For the record, we at Against Crony Capitalism are very pro-legal immigration. My last name is Sorrentino, for crying out loud. My family came here, well, the Irish and Italian, 120 years ago.
This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America.
Yup.
And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed us in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on.
For sure, those people did take risk, and they need to be appreciated. Again, thank you.
Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from D.C. to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid, and they'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview. Then
Asylum is a legitimate thing. People are persecuted in their home countries. This happened in, Vietnam. I mean, it happens all over the place. It's a legitimate thing. Unfortunately, it is often abused.
you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that.
Here's your parking ticket. Now welcome to America.
Make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you go walk across the border. They do what's called a release from your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which is to appear at a judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration
6 years.
judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people. Okay? So what happens then? Once you're in the country and you've got asylum through one of these pathways, and we've mapped the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765. It's the work form. You get this form called the 766. That's the authorization. And then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview. No ID.
But California and New York insist on no voter ID. In fact, in California, I think it's illegal to actually insist on showing your ID. Yet these illegal immigrants can somehow figure out and wade through the bureaucracy to get their Social Security number.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep.
No.
They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive, large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make it a...
Now, why do you think the entire Democratic Party apparatus has gone after Musk the way they have? This is a big part of it.
permanent, deep blue, one-party state from which there would be no escape.
Yeah, at least if you're stuck in California or New York, you can, pack up and move to Tennessee or Texas or Florida. But if the United States was just one giant one-party state, there would be nowhere to go.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these.
So the Biden administration made it as easy as possible to get these programs, and then when these illegal immigrants, and it is worth noting, under the law, they are illegal. It is set to maximum payout for these folks. That's pretty crazy. And for a long time, people argued, "Oh, this doesn't happen." Well,
people and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through on every benefit program we went through. We found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people, in those benefit programs. And then what was...
So roughly 1/5 of these recent illegal immigrants are on Medicaid, which is paid for by American taxpayers. That makes sense.
really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why.
Right.
And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And
Hang on.
we found people here registered to vote.
Dun, dun, dun.
In this population, yes.
And who did vote?
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote.
But it's a myth. It's a myth. And, of course, the talking point is Doge is lying. They're totally lying. They're not lying.
And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already. That has already happened.
Look, as we said in the video, we are very pro-immigration. We are pro-legal immigration, okay? But it is not fair. We cannot open up the United States of America to the rest of the world and just say, okay, look, come on in here and we'll provide your health care for you. We can't do that. Like, we can do so much, and sometimes Americans think we can do anything. And to some degree, that is sort of true. I mean, we have a history of being really amazing. But we also need to understand our limits. Because if we don't understand our limits, things are going to get worse than they are now. And things are pretty bad now on this front. We have a massive debt. All right, that this bill that they're fighting over, which includes these, very all too modest cuts, supposedly people having to work is a cut, really doesn't even begin to address things. Things need to be cut way, way deeper, like with real cuts. Okay, we are against crony capitalism. That is our organization's name, and truly, these massive government programs, in many respects, are vehicles for crony capitalism. Think about the number of bureaucrats involved in these systems. These people are pretty well paid in relative terms, okay? They don't want these programs to go away, which makes you wonder if they really want poverty to go away. Think about that.